Hello viewers, Marianne from Revealing Light Tarot. I know that I said I would, I had pre-recorded and would upload a video, but I looked at it this morning, it's already dated and I don't want to offer that up, so I'm just going to do a quick look at Trump in the week ahead. Of course, our Prime Minister, the Australian Prime Minister, has been in America and was feted by Donald Trump with a state banquet, as I understand it. The only other foreign leader he's done that for is Emmanuel Macron, and of course his bestie Macron ended up turning on him. This Prime Minister is a little bit different. He is actually a mini Trumpster and has said in the past that Trump is his mentor. All of this in Washington, D.C., in a week where we've got this absolute constitutional crisis unfolding in your country. The press conference with Scott Morrison and Donald Trump, Morrison looked like a deer caught in the headlights, wondering what on earth Trump would come out with yet again. I read coverage in The Guardian Australia of a journalist that actually sat through, an Australian journalist that sat through that press conference. He was absolutely appalled at the incoherence of the American president and looked around at the American press to see if they were, thinking the same thing, but they appeared all quite jaded and used to this happening. And that was one of the reasons why I didn't want to upload the Trump in the week ahead, because I do feel that there is this this absolute battle fatigue. I had a viewer come forward this morning and said there were huge marches in DC. I think it was yesterday, but they weren't covered. Certainly the climate change protests got worldwide coverage, but protesting against Trump, I didn't notice that coverage. So I do feel that there is this battle fatigue, and what happens when that's the case is that you start to switch off from the wrongdoing, and that's exactly what they want. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I feel that that is what is happening at the moment, and there is actually some quite serious wrongdoing occurring. So with that in mind, with that sort of caveat there, that there is this quite significant degree of battle fatigue with Donald Trump. This, he'll come out and he'll have Rudy Giuliani, for example, say, look, I think he said, so what if the president colluded? The president is above investigation, but that's a common bar line. If they say this long enough and, people are fatigued and are starting to switch off, that shock factor that propels action starts to recede and Trump gets away with it. So, the emoluments is still bubbling away, and certainly this whistleblower complaint. I'm increasingly having viewers coming forward and saying, why isn't the House impeaching? This is what I'm hearing in the media, the growing calls for the impeachment for Donald Trump to be impeached alone, just on its own. The whistleblower crisis is enough to meet that standard of high crimes and misdemeanours. It appears that Vice President Pence may also be involved in this as well. So let's see, is battle fatigue going to win and then apathy sets in, or are we going to see some real traction on this whistleblowing constitutional crisis, this latest example of lawlessness and a disrespect for the institutions really that keep us safe? So I do feel that this Eight of Swords here is actually the restrictions that we're operating under at the moment. I do feel that our attitudes and what we consider, when we start to switch off, I'm just so tired, we actually do restrict, and this is a restriction of our own making. So let's see that being a card that we'll leave there as an example of what could be happening at the moment with this high level of just disgust and fatigue and switching off. I don't want to know anymore. Let's see what the week ahead will be like. What are the general? I'm just going to leave that there as a signifier card. What is the week ahead likely to be for Donald Trump? What are the conditions that are coming forward for Donald Trump this week? What's the week ahead likely for Donald Trump? Okay, interesting. The same cards are coming forward in the reading that I chose not to upload, but it's the interpretation that I think is going to change a little bit. We could say this is Donald Trump, but I do feel this is the lowest possible ebb. The Ten of Swords is when things can't go any lower, and I know that's a common phrase. We think, how low can he go? And then he comes out and he goes lower. But this is a conclusion cycle, so let's pick some positivity up out of this card. This is a completion cycle. What's the challenge there? Multiple things coming forward. These are the same cards. Let me bring down the laptop. But I'm glad I did I'm glad I'm doing this second reading. Multiple things coming out this week. I feel when I deepen my reading on this that there will be more to come from whistleblowers are actually probably going to be the one line of defence now that is going to prevail. People will see it as their patriotic duty to come forward. So I feel that we'll be finding more out about the whistleblower complaint, which doesn't just involve one incident, it involves many. But I think there's more to come too on the emoluments. I do feel that it's almost like a fight back now. When you go so low, what are your choices? You're either going to give up or you're going to fight back, and I feel it's fight back time. However, I do feel that this Nine of Swords, this anxiety, is it's actually a condition, not just with Donald Trump and everybody involved, Congress as well, but I do feel that this also is this is the mood generally. When is this going to end, this high level of anxiety? Let's have a look at what's in the past. And this is what gives me hope, viewers. At the end of the day, I have to say that this is what really gives me hope, is hope itself. And so the choice when you're in that ditch, when you're the Ten of Swords, when it's as low as it can go, and you know that it's capable of going lower, and so that's as low as it will go, what have we got here? We have had the hope, the star of hope. We've had a guiding light. There has been sufficient work put in. I feel there's going to be more whistleblowers coming forward. You're not going to roll over in a ditch. It's fight time. I wonder if William Barr and Donald Trump understand that. Okay, the Four of Wands, exactly the same cards. It's interesting. It's almost like Spirit wanted me to take another look and deepen this reading. The Four of Wands, it is a celebration. It's a coming together family and community. This usually represents my Democrats card. People have been are starting to be a bit hard on the Democrats. Really, you should now start articles of impeachment now on this high crimes and misdemeanors, the whistleblower complaint, and let it go to the Senate, and let the Republicans go to the election saying it's okay to threaten and bribe a foreign leader for political gain. Even now, as low as it can go, even now, I think that that would be a workable strategy. So there's celebration in the future, basically. The Three of Wands, expansion, commerce and expansion. I feel that this is some news coming out this week again. So when I do the whistleblower readings, there's so many pentacles there. We assume that is the money that America promised Ukraine, that Donald Trump was holding back. I think it's something more. I think this is it's sitting right next to that Eight of Wands. So I do feel that there is going to be more information coming out this week, not just regarding the whistleblower crisis, but the president potentially profiting again from the presidency. The Knight of Pentacles, this is action, practical action taken right now by your Congress, by commentators, by, I just read so many so much commentary from Harvard law professors, former CIA, FBI, intelligence officers, former analysts, high-level analysts. It just goes on and on and on. There's so much action now, so much outrage coming forward. The environment that is created, and I'm not reading this as money, Donald Trump's monetary emoluments, violations. I'm reading this as a new start, that there is action here now, this mobilisation really around a new start. Now, the pentacles are often associated with the base chakra, which is our connection to the world. It's our connection at an individual level, our trust in the world, and I feel this is what is at stake here. This trust is being threatened, and so what do you do when you have that threat? You actually start to take action on that, and I feel that's what's going to happen this week. The fear is that there will be some further bombshells coming out. I do feel that this Nine of Swords goes to McConnell, goes to Barr, goes to Trump's enablers, the puppeteers, shall we call them, in a way. They are standing back and wondering what's next. What is next? The Empress. Okay, so this is the strength, this is abundance, this is the mother card, this is the feminine rising. It's all the things that will prompt action and reaction against wrongdoing, but it is also my Russia card. And so I feel, depending on my clarifying cards, we'll have more news about Russia. There is this loss, this sense of loss and betrayal around what's coming up, and the Five of Cups. So it can't be more clear. I do feel that there is this, reading on a couple of levels, there is this heartache, I feel. There's this sense of loss, that how could this occur? How could America now be acting as a, really more like a third world dictatorship than a leading democracy? It really is cutting people this week. However, there's also mobilisation. There is mobilisation, and you're seeing that every commentator, Republican or Democrat, on decent media channels, on central, I'm just going to call them centre and balanced media channels, are coming forward, and they have one thing in common. They're saying that if this whistleblower's complaint is correct, it is an impeachable offence. And so that momentum will grow. What's at the base of the pack? We've got this Nine of Pentacles here, self-reliance, having enough money for your needs, for independence. This is what Trump has done to the presidency, whether that be through his relationship with Russia, his past relationship with Russia, through his alleged violations of the emoluments clauses. There is a judgment there, and that judgment is deepening as you see the theft and betrayal quite starkly. Now, as I said, this has been a deliberate strategy of Giuliani and Barr and Trump to actually normalise corruption, normalise law, breaking of the law, normalise this idea that the president can do whatever he likes, normalise that, yes, he has every right to ask Ukraine for assistance, normalise. And the way they do it is they bring out little bits at a time, and then that narrative gets established, and then it is always there. Once that narrative is there, it's a very it's not interesting, it's actually diabolical. It's a psychological ploy that at the back of everything there's this narrative that we've read and we've heard over and over and over and over again. So there is almost like I won't say a brainwashing attempt, but there's that kind of repetitive points that are being made, which actually then normalises. And so when you get a breaking crisis, then you actually again start to become a little bit fatigued. So it's all operating on a number of levels, but I don't think it's going to work. That's the long and the short of it. Trump this week is more of the same. We're going to have, I feel, some information coming out about his connections with Russia. I think it's in relation to the whistleblower complaint. So quickly, 3 cards. Will the whistleblower come forward? Will the whistleblower come forward? Will the whistleblower come forward? Will that whistleblower come forward? Okay, so the Knight of Cups, I feel that there is going to be an offer made. Now, I know that Adam Schiff, the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, has said they will do everything they can to protect the whistleblower. There could be some deals being made at this point in time. However, there's obstruction and challenges at every turn. This is being wrought by Barr. But we've got the government, the Hierophant, the higher judge. So it could even go to court. There could even be a quick court injunction, a quick court taking the case to the court and getting the information, because I do see the Four of Wands, which is a celebration card. I do see the Wheel of Fortune, things improving, so pushing through this obstruction, and I do see the Knight of Swords. The government is actually going to get hold of that complaint. It could be that they bring that whistleblower in, they find a way to do that safely, or that they go to the courts and for a very quick adjudication, and that complaint comes forward. Never forget that this is Donald Trump. I said at the beginning of this unfolding crisis, this is a bridge too far. And we've got this guiding light of hope, and we've got this Queen of Cups. She'll be taking the lead. So who is that Ten of Cups, the Ten of Swords for? It is for us. It is for Donald Trump. It is as low as it can go. And even if he were to come out and do something else next week, we find out that, Saudi Arabia gave him, how much lower can it go than what we already know? Martial law? I don't think so. Okay, so I'm not even going to go and ask if the Pentagon, where's the Pentagon on all of this? I'm not going to ask that. I'll leave that for another reading when I'm not in a motel room in the middle of New South Wales outback. But just 3 last cards, 3 messages for the week for the viewers from Spirit. 3 messages for the week. Are these narratives? Are these sinister, sophisticated? Well, no, I don't know that they're sophisticated. They're just, we haven't seen this before. Are these strategies of Trump, Moscow Mitch, etc., Steve Bannon, who actually it's been, I think I read just before I came on, Steve Bannon leaked the photo of brown-faced Trudeau to the media, again to influence the Canadian elections. Or is this sinister stuff going to work? Are people going to fall for it? What are the messages? 3 messages. What do we need to know? What do we need to know? Okay, so we've got the Page of Wands. There is a growing return to centre politics, so away from this rabid right wing, I guess fascist type movements, strategies, etc. That's all I can say. It's something that a fascist regime would be doing. There is a move away from that, but this is only a page, and so it will take this continued pushback. The Hanged Man, we are being forced to see things through another perspective. Things have stalled. We really feel like our world has been turned upside down, but in doing so, we start to make choices in our democracies about what we want. And we've got the King of Wands, and this always comes forward for the leadership card. You need to choose your leaders very, very carefully. in the future, and the only way you can do that is to get out and vote. I understand that if every Democrat in the US got out and voted, there'd be no way the Republicans could win, even if they were fiddling around with a few voting machines in a county in the middle of America. This is about stepping forward with inspirational leadership. It will always, can I say, it will always win out at the end of the day. So there you go. 3 messages from Spirit. So I'll leave that there, and I hope you enjoyed that. I just felt I had to come back on and do another reading because I think we needed to just pull back, stand back, and just have a look at things in a different light. So thank you very much for tuning in, viewers. Thank you all.